Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Book Review Blog. I am your book reviewer, and today we're going to review the book 50 Shades Darker by E.L. James. I want to originally apologize for the glare if hopefully you can see my video. Unfortunately, I'm getting a big glare on my computer, but that's okay. I'll start. Because it's part of the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy is what it eventually is, but there are the same characters as in the 50 Shades of Grey, mainly Anastasia Steele, or Anna Steele, and Christian Grey, and a couple other characters, which I'll maybe get into later on. But I don't believe I explained on my review of 50 Shades of Grey how that book ended. But it's kind of important to understand where 50 Shades Darker begins. And 50 Shades of Grey ends with Christian and Anna talking, and they ended up talking about what would happen if Anna signs this contract that Christian had for her to sign for Anna to become one of his submissives in this BDSM relationship. And one of the things that is part of the contract is that if Anna disobeys Christian in any way, that she would be punished. And it lists a bunch of ways that she could be punished, but one of the ways was spanking. And even though she had already been spanked earlier in 50 Shades of Grey, she was wondering just how intense would the spanking be if she was punished. And what ended up happening was Christian spanked her with a paddle, and he made her count, and it was, I hated to think of this, or I hate to kind of bring this up, but it made me really think of the movie Dead Poet Society. If you're familiar with it, the headmaster had punished one of the boys that was part of this society. I forget what his name was, and the punishment was that he would be paddled, and along with Anna, he also had to count how many times he was paddled. So it was just kind of a thing that popped in my head. Anyway, but after she is paddled, I think she gets either between the numbers of like 8 or 10, somewhere between then. She really is thrown off by this and really is upset. And so she just yells to stop. And so she jumps out of Christian's arms and kind of runs out of his house, and she's like, I can't deal with him anymore, I can't handle this. So it makes it seem like she's leaving, and so that's where 50 Shades of Grey ends, and where 50 Shades Darker kind of begins. It's been maybe 3 or 5 days in between the two books, and she is still apart from Christian, but she is trying to, get him out of her head and get and like she can't. It's a kind of a breakup scene where you try to get over your boyfriend or whatever, and you find that he's still in your head. Anyway, but through different means, he tries to contact her again and try to get their relationship back in order. And he's been saying, "Oh, you really have changed me, Anna, and your leaving devastated me, and you can't leave me. You can't. I'm realizing that I can't be apart from you." And so they kind of pick up their relationship again, but it's on different terms. He's like, we're not dealing with a contract. I'm not going to treat you as a submissive to my dominant. We're just going to be kind of a couple. And that's kind of different for her because, she's so used to him being this type of person. And he's like, if it's weird for you, just think of how it is for me. So, but they go ahead and try this, and along with them trying it out is that Anna has begun a job, and she graduated from the University of Washington, Washington State University in Vancouver, Washington, and she landed a publishing job, like as a publisher's assistant, and the man that she's working under is a man named Jack Hyde, and she's like, he's fine, a little weird, but he's kind of harmless, and that's at the beginning. But then she's slowly realizing that why this job became available, and B, why people in his office have left, and he's just really hard to work with, and he frequently puts the moves on Anna, and it just kind of makes her uncomfortable, and she doesn't reveal who her boyfriend is, or because everybody in Seattle and almost basically all of Washington knows who Christian is because of his company, and but she's kind of uncomfortable with that, of associating a big, multi-million-dollar mogul to herself, and so so this kind of continues for a couple of days, where she works at the publishing company and dates Christian, and again, it's this is erotic fiction, so their sexual intercourses or sexual things are very graphic and very they're written in there, but it's not, there's no bondage, there's no games, it's vanilla sex, as they put it, basically standard sexual activity, or lovemaking, if you want to call it that, but and so that's all going on, and then what happens is one day Anna is working late at Jack Hyde's office, and he corners her in, I think, an office kitchen or like a break room or something like that, and he really puts the moves on her again, and really just kind of he doesn't like molest her exactly, but he like sexually harasses her in a very big way, and where he's saying, I know who your boyfriend is. I know, he doesn't scare me. He doesn't, he can't affect me, blah, blah, blah. And so she ends up getting away by using some self-defense. And Christian is waiting for her to be picked up outside. And he notices that she's really distraught, and she describes what happened. And Christian and his bodyguard, whose name is Taylor, go and rough Jack up. And that's kind of the last time through this book that you hear of Jack Hyde, or at least at that moment. And then, Christian and Anna continue with this relationship of, the sexual relationship, but they're getting stronger, and they're becoming more of a couple. But, however, along with Jack Hyde, there's other people in their lives that kind of come full force, and one of the people that does that is one of Christian's ex submissives. Her name was Layla, and she is resurfacing in Christian's life, and she kind of corners Anna outside of her work, and Anna, she doesn't recognize her exactly, but she notices that this woman, Layla, looks similar to her, and she's like, there's a reason for this. And Layla, the only thing that they have right there is Layla asks, what do you have that I don't? And she's kind of she questions that, like, what do you mean by that? And she and Anna and Christian realized that Layla wanted to continue the relationship that she had with Christian, but in the contract that Christian gave all of his submissives, their relationship was only for 3 months. So what must have happened is that Christian and Layla had their 3 months of fun, and then it had to be end. It had to end. So, but Layla still had feelings for Christian, and so Layla, hearing about that Anna was Christian's new flame or new relationship, initially thinking that she was a submissive, but is now more, is was really upsetting to her. And so she, throughout the book, on a couple of occasions, she had broken into Christian's home and had scared Anna and had scared Christian, and so they kind of toned her down or tamed her down, where they sent her off to a mental institution to be re-examined, and because Christian had told Anna that she was a little kind of off mentally, and so she was getting re-examined and then set to go live with her parents, who I think live in Connecticut or something. So there's that one part, and then the other part was a woman who Christian calls Elena because that was her name, but Anna refers to her as Mrs. Robinson, who, if I described her in the first review, was the woman who showed Christian the like the BDSM type of sexual relationship. She was the one who taught Christian how to do this. Christian was her submissive and she was his dominant. But even though that relationship had ended, she and Christian still had a working relationship. I think they had several different projects going on, and business wise. And so, but Anna was still a little taken off by her, and she initially, I guess, to Christian, in front of Christian, she was very kind to Anna and just said, oh, it's nice that he found somebody, and things like that. But she was very two-faced, where to Anna, she was very mean and very cold to her, and so, like, how dare you try and change him? He can't be changed. He can only love. He can't love. He only knows one way to show love, I guess. And Anna is very put off by this, and it happens that at the end of the book, it's Christian's birthday, and one of the things that had happened in between, like, as all this was going on, because one thing I realized while reading the book is that this book basically takes 1 week. It's like I read the large print, so it's like a 700-page book, but it spanned only 1 week, and it's just a lot of things going on, and of course a lot of sex going on, and so, where I had to stop and be like, has it only been a week? One of the things that happens towards the end of this week is that Christian asks Anna to marry him, and she's very astonished and very surprised because A, they haven't known each other for very long, I think only like 3 or 4 weeks, and B, he never seemed like the marrying type, and everything that she'd known about him before, he's never the marrying type. But it ends up that that Christian has kind of a run-in with his helicopter, where he initially it was said that he had something was wrong with his helicopter and he had to make an emergency landing, and that's what you know about it in the second book. In the third book it says something else, but and so this really shook Anna up, where she thought that she could lose Christian, and so she ended up saying yes to his proposal. And so, back to what I was saying again, at the end of the week, it was his birthday, and he had a big party at his parents' house, and Layla wasn't there, but Elena was, and Anna was kind of distraught by this because she's like, gosh, is this woman everywhere, type of thing. And so, and Christian and Anna kind of made their engagement announcement, like a big announcement, where Christian had, thanked everybody for coming to his birthday party and wanted to thank Anna especially for coming into his life, and said, oh, and this lovely woman has agreed to marry me. And Elena had this awful look on her face of shock, and she cornered Anna in the kitchen and said, how dare you try to marry him, and how dare you think that you can change him. And it came up that Christian had intervened and had really angrily spoke to Elena and said that what we had was awful, and you treated me like crap, but our relationships of everything is over. Our business relationship, whatever, sexual relationship you thought where we had at some point is over. And it just happened that his Christian's mother had overheard this conversation, and of course the way that Christian had said it, or the little conversation that Christian and Elena had, had indicated that Elena had a sexual relationship with Christian while Christian was still a minor, and his parents had no idea. And so this was a very big shock to Christian's mother, who just kind of realized this whole thing and figured it out. And so she kicked Elena out, which I thought was cute. But that's kind of where the book ends, pretty much. And so, like, that's it. So the next book that I'm going to read is the conclusion to the 50 Shades trilogy, which is called 50 Shades Freed. I'm looking forward to reading about the last part and see what happens with Christian and Anna. And so that's it. And I bid you all farewell and happy reading.